I'm so glad that people have made it here today. We're going to talk about the shofar a little bit. Well, we're going to talk about the process of getting through this time period of Elul all the way through to Rosh Hashanah. And in fact, I'm going to talk about a little bit about going back a chunk to, and for those of you who may have heard me talk about this in a Rosh Hashanah script, that's a review. Just as 49 days after Pesach is Shavuot, 7 times 7 weeks. Shavuot means weeks. 49 days after Tisha B'Av is Rosh Hashanah. So mind blown. So if for those of you who remember counting the Omer, which is where we count a Omer of barley grain, it's a measure of barley grain that corresponds to the lower 7 Sefirot, which are the divine emanations that are, there's 10 of them, and they go from like basically the top up above all the way down to the earth. And they can be overlaid on the body, sort of like the chakras, I guess, in some ways. And I've visualized that as a body worker. I visualize that when I'm working on people. And there's different aspects that relate to each of those Sefirot. And in the Omer, there is this practice among certain communities to count the lower 7 Sefirot, which are the earthly realms. Each of those 7 weeks, 7 times. So I'm having a hard time explaining it. For those of you who are on the computer here, not those of you on Instagram, but for those of you who are on the computer here, I can screen share a picture. Oh no, but I'm not host, so I can't.
Oh.
Can you be host?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can I take a stab at it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So each of the 7 weeks is dedicated to one of the 7 lower Sefirot. And then each of the 7 days of that week is also dedicated to one of the 7 lower Sefirot. So like going from the other direction, the first week is Chesed, loving kindness. First day of that week is Chesed, Sheba Chesed, loving kindness within loving kindness. The next day is Havurah, Sheba Chesed, discipline, strength, fortitude within loving kindness, and so forth.
So here's a picture for those of you who are on the computer. So we start with the lower 7. So we start with Chesed and Havurah, and we work our way down. Chesed, Sheba Chesed, Havurah, Sheba Chesed, Tiferet, Sheba Chesed, Chod, Sheba Chesed, Netzach, Sheba Chesed, and then the next week we move on to Havurah and Chesed, Sheba Havurah, Havurah, Sheba Havurah, etc. If we go the other way during this countdown, we start with Malchut. So we go and we count our way up. So we start with Malchut, Sheba Malchut, and then Yesod, Sheba Malchut, Hod, Sheba Malchut, etc., etc., etc. Today is the 25th day of that count, so we're halfway through. There's a book that I have been using, I've got it here with me today, called Omer Teshuvah, and it is by Shifra Tobacman. I don't know if you can see that on the computer. And so if you read it from left to right, it's the Omer, and if you read it from right to left, it's the Teshuvah. So we've been reading that every day. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, figure out how to do it. Go back. So we've been counting every day, and today is the 25th day of this counting. And it's a really lovely meditative way to walk one way through the this countdown of Elul, which is where we're preparing to come into the high holidays. And Elul is a month with no holidays at all, so except for Shabbat. So it is meaningful to have something to do each of the days as we prepare ourselves for return to Teshuvah, returning to ourselves, returning to the new year. And I've been doing it by picking, I have bags of Hebrew letters, and I pick out 2 Hebrew letters, one to call in and one to release. And sometimes I get the same letters. It's interesting. This week I've gotten to call in the letter Ayin twice. And Ayin is the eye. It's about vision and sight. And it's also about being watched over by the divine. So that's very lovely. And today's letters were Ayin to call in, and then I have one blank one in each of my sets. And it was the Ein Sof. So it was just what we're releasing is that blankness. But what's interesting about Ayin is that it's also the number 70 in Gematria. And the number 70 is represents the ultimate manifestation of completion. There are 7 days in creation, and 10 times 7 is that ultimate manifestation of it. So it's this idea of ultimate completion. And that's where we are right now, as we're coming into the ultimate completion of the year. Instead of the 7 days of creation, the whole year is coming to an end. And we're releasing the Ein Sof, which is this idea of nothingness, this blank space in Elul where we just have no holidays. We're releasing this idea of that this is never going to come to an end. And it is going to come to an end. Everything comes to an end. That's one thing we can rely on. And today is gate 25. It is endurance within endurance. Netzach sheba netzach. And I'm going to read you the poem that is for this day from this book, the Omer Teshuvah. It says, in the middle of our counting comes this day, focused on endurance within endurance. What are you enduring today? And what endures on your behalf? What type of emotional landscape are you traveling through? How is it godly? What challenges does it pose? Maybe your journey is one of long, flat plains, expanding as far as the eye can see. With each day's trek, so much like the last that when you look back, you aren't certain you've moved at all. Or maybe yours is a narrow trail winding around a steep mountain. With so many new vistas, it makes your head spin. The thin air leaves you breathless. Perhaps yours is a long series of hills and valleys with gentle climbs and declines. Whatever the landscape may be, what deep joy or learning can you find along the way? Look out at the horizon. Drink in what it shows you, then down to the ground beneath you, and shift your weight, sensing the shift. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Behold the journey ahead of you here at the 25th gate. I'm going to try to play this new shofar, new to me shofar. I don't know if I'll be able to, but Diane's going to call for us.
Tikiya. Sharing Tra. Tikiya.
Tikiya. Shvarim. Tikiya.
Tikiya. Tra. Tikiya.
So happy Elul, everyone. Thank you for coming to listen to the shofar. We're going to be here every day at the Havurah website doing the Elul shofar calls every day except for Shabbat during the month of Elul. So we hope you can join us again tomorrow. And then again, I guess on
Friday.
the next day. We'll have a little Kavanah each time. It's important to show up on time because it goes pretty fast. But I'm really grateful that you're all here today.